Now, all right, what's up, guys? This is Keith Kelfis. I have Joshua Latimer on. Hey, I might be a little bit choppy, but if you can hear me clear, you're gonna learn some amazing marketing stuff that I wish I would have known. Like, how come we did not look at marketing this way? Joshua Latimer, you've seen him before on my podcast, on my videos, serial entrepreneurial, multiple businesses. But how does it help you? This guy is freaking so obsessed with marketing. He's just been able to dial it in, and he's got a free live virtual event coming up very soon. You got to learn about. Josh, what's up, bro?
What's up, Keith? Man, your internet isn't great, but I can hear your audio good. Hopefully, everybody else can. And how's the weather in Michigan? Because it's been 100 degrees for 3 months straight in Texas. People are dying, but it's starting to cool off now. I've also heard that leads are cooling off for a lot of businesses.
Let me make sure.
Not necessarily everybody, but have you been hearing that people are having a harder time getting the phone to ring the last month or two? On your side, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so maybe you haven't, but what do you think?
I have a friend, two friends that have said the same exact thing, that their phone has not been ringing as much as normal. So it's like last year is like, oh, nonstop leads, but now they're saying not so much so, not with new clients.
Let's just blame Joe Biden and feel sorry for herself. No, I'm just kidding. That's the thing, though. Like, there are like realities. Like, it's not a magic trick. You can't just like push a magic button and get money automatically necessarily. We have to understand certain things. I mean, I have some pieces of advice. I don't know if you want me to start somewhere specific, but I know people need money. And more importantly than money, they need margin. They need actual profit, because money and profit are totally different things. Have you ever heard the quote that revenue is for vanity and profit is for sanity?
Yes.
I love that. And actually, a lot of the guys with $2, $3, $4 million businesses, I'm one of the guys they call to kind of commiserate with, because they're like confused and frustrated that they're not making the money they thought they would, even at 2 or 3 million. And they're doing good, but you have this idea that you're going to be some balling out, Ferrari driving guy because you finally hit 7 figures, and it's really not true most of the time. And there's simple ways to fix all of these things. And we are going into a recession, in my opinion, not just my opinion. There's think tanks and big, government organizations doing all kinds of data analysis on this. Like, for example, if you go on Google Trends and you search the word recession, it shows you the search volume of a word. And if you look at the map, it's free. You can just go to Google Trends, type in recession. You can see what I'm talking about. It just maxed out back in 2008. There's like this little line, and it's like, whoop, 2008. And it stayed there for a year or two, and then it went down. It was quiet. Well, it spiked back up even higher last summer. And from last summer till now, last summer I created a training called Recession Marketing because of this. And we've kind of been okay, but we're not out of the woods. Like, things are bad. Ned Davis research says there's like a 93% chance we're going into a global recession, possibly depression. And the weird part is that I'm actually excited for people, because there's going to be huge opportunity to like get rich, to scale your business. I think a lot of people are going to panic and probably overreact, maybe sell their company for pennies on the dollar or go out of business. That's not good. I hope that doesn't happen to you. But maybe some of the things I can share today and in my workshop this week, which is free, is just, it can help you. It can help you make profit with your brain, because the key to this problem isn't buying more Valpak ads or just like sending more EDDM with no thought going into it. It's a little deeper than that. And I guess as an intro, I can start talking about tactical things. I mean, is that okay, Keith?
Bro, I love it. And for those of you that are just joining, thank you. What's up? I could see you. I could see all the comments. My video is probably a little choppy because my internet, for some reason, I'm actually in my basement trying to get better internet right now. But Josh is going to be doing most of this. Do you got this whiteboard out right now? What do you war plan?
Well,
okay.
I'm a visual learner, so I'm going to scribble some notes
Me
while
too.
we talk about this. But just up front, if you go to warplan.com, yes, I'm doing an event this week. It's 2 days. It's at night on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, September 13th and 14th. It's free. On day 2, I will make an offer of some of the stuff I have, just in full transparency. But the entire day 1 and all of day 2, except for the part where I share the offer, is going to be tactical, practical, do it now stuff. And I will warn you too, like, some of the stuff's a little advanced, and I'm going to go really fast. For example, my just day one of this workshop is like 200 slides long, and I'm going to go like rapid fire, but people need help. And whether you buy anything I have or not, I want to help you, especially if you're married with kids and trying to run a service company, because it's freaking hard. You throw three toddlers in the mix and it's like, ah, you know. So anyway, let's start with this. So let's talk about these three categories. And I'll mention this in the workshop in more detail, but there's noise, nuance, and offers.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for me, I like to simplify the way I think about this. When I say marketing, I don't mean doing a postcard or putting out a yard sign or doing some ad in a newspaper or something. Marketing is everything. And everything is marketing. Like the way people perceive you is marketing. And there's all kinds of psychology in our brain happening. You know, if you think about it, like depending on the industry you're in, I know a lot of lawn care guys follow you, Keith, too. The customer has an idea in their brain of like how valuable that thing is before they even talk to you. And they've already anchored themselves to like some prior experience or interaction with some lawn care guy. And maybe when they were a kid, they like mowed lawns for a summer and they like think that they're the same, that them doing that was the same as what you do right now. And so our job as marketers, as business owners that want oxygen, AKA profit, is we have to reframe people. Okay. So here's the first weird phrase you might have not heard is reframing. This is a phrase that's really common in internet marketing, or if you study persuasion, if you study copywriting. The game is frame control. And no one in the service industry really teaches it like this, but it's insanely powerful because you need to walk people through a series of simple things to reframe them that you're a luxury, top shelf, premium service provider. And even if your business is tiny and you don't have all this fancy stuff, it can still be done really, really quickly. So let's talk about noise though to start off. So most local small businesses don't make enough noise, meaning marketing. They're not noisy enough, or they make noise the wrong time. Here's how I'll explain that. Most companies have like a buying cycle for their business. And so maybe this is like the summer and you're super busy. And actually, let me fix this. So I don't think this is accurate. Like I know for my cleaning business in Michigan, it was more like this, right? And then we're like crazy busy here. And then there's like,
we called it the 100 Days of Hell.
yeah.
From
so
like
like
April to
everyone
4th
wants
of
to
July.
everyone wants to give you money right here. And then also right here, but we market like here and here and here. And the reason we do that is because we are panicked and the phone's not ringing. And so we go buy a bunch of EDDM and we're doing it at the wrong time. What needs to happen is we need to do more marketing or make noise up these curves. And we need to raise our prices when demand is high, let our close rate be lower on purpose. And then when it slows down, we circle back to the people that didn't buy at the inflated prices and we lower them back down for a special screaming deal. Just that by itself can sometimes double the take-home profit of an owner. And I know I'm talking really fast and I can't like prove it to you with the math, but this is literally true. I've helped hundreds of people do this. And so that's like nugget number one is supply and demand pricing. So if you're like booked a month out and your prices are the same, you just hate money and you don't understand that you're leaving like gigantic tens of thousands of in your personal profit pocket as an owner on the table by doing that. But anyway, when you're making noise, first of all, we want to make noise at the right time. The other thing about noise is we want to make sure that we're not making noise in the ocean. You know, I think a lot of people, they do this shotgun marketing and it's like they're jumping up and down in the ocean thinking that they're doing something, which I stole that line from Dan Kennedy because it's so good. But they're jumping up and down like in the ocean thinking they're making waves and they're not. I read a statistic that Stanley Steamer, who's a huge carpet cleaning company, they do 150 million a year, which is 400,000 a day. Okay, is how much revenue they average. The average carpet cleaner in the United States makes $326 a day. And when you ask yourself, like, okay, what are the differences between like Larry making $300 a day doing one job a day and Stanley Steamer? Now, first of all, Stanley Steamer's quality is definitely worse than Larry, for sure. Okay. On average, Larry is like a nerd and he knows like the flux capacitor inverter valve of his little carpet sucker 9000. he knows all the technical stuff. He's a good guy. He's a good dad. He coaches t-ball, but he's broke. And maybe he's not broke. Maybe he's doing $1 million, but he's only keeping 100 grand for himself, which is like not enough. And he's like, what the heck? I thought I'd be making 300 grand. The way to make 300 grand is to make more noise, understand nuance, and improve the way that you present your offers, and things will start to shift for you really, really fast. So when it comes to making noise, if you do shotgun marketing where you just EDD blah, 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 or you just do postcards or you do some yard signs, but it's kind of random and it's spread out, that's a worse way to do it because you don't have the capital to compete with the Stanley Steamer. So you might see them on TV and in every mailbox and everywhere. The smaller company, and by the way, if you're doing less than 5 million, you're small. I mean, the SBA.gov defines a small business as anybody with less than 500 employees, which is like all of us, except for Tommy Mello. I think he'll be a billionaire in a couple of years. So he's graduated to not a small business. But anyway, so you want to do small, targeted, inside out, shock and awe, saturation marketing. Small, targeted, inside out, shock and awe, saturation marketing. And the way that you do this is you take your customer list and you run it through an online service that will reverse geocode your list. And that's a fancy term for you upload your addresses and it will show you a map. And on the map, it'll have pins of where all your customers are physically at, which is a really powerful visual thing. I mean, you already know the neighborhoods you have good customers in, but seeing the whole scope of it is huge. Because then you can go neighborhood by neighborhood, cul-de-sac by cul-de-sac, subdivision by subdivision, and become a nightmare to compete with like that. And it's super inexpensive. You get massive momentum. A lot of past customers will re-engage you. People in those towns are going to see your trucks coming in and out and in and out. And it's like you're everywhere, even though you're only in a small spot. And if you're going to do direct mail, hit people 8 times in the right neighborhoods where you already have traction instead of doing one time really big to a bunch of people who don't know who you are. And this is really an example of nuance. So we can start talking about that. Making noise, marketing, all the stuff we do. We don't want to do it backwards. We want to do it up the supply curve when people are in demand. That's when we spend marketing dollars. We raise our prices as we go. And we want to go small, targeted pocket marketing, right? But then we get to nuance. Nuance means the way that you do the thing that you do. Nuance is lost on like everybody. And I get it because it's like really overwhelming to run a small company, but it's not so much do you do marketing, it's how do you do it. I'll ask people like, do you do direct mail? Like, oh yeah, I tried that, didn't work. Or I'll say, do you answer your phone? Oh yeah, always answer my phone. Okay, but what if I actually secret shopped 100 companies? 100 companies that all answered their phone. Would all 100 of them produce the same yield? The answer is no. They would be wildly different. The tone, the emphasis, the pacing, the voice inflection, right? The enthusiasm, the structure of when you ask questions of the customer on the phone. What do you ask first? Do you ask them what their name is, or do you tell them, hi, my name's Josh. May I have your name? That little tiny, seemingly insignificant detail matters a ton when you stack it all up together, when you stack the nuance up, the choreography. It's like you're a choir director and you're using your brain thinking, how do I pre-frame? How do I reframe someone so that I stand out like a sore thumb and they know real quick we're not another Bob with a lawnmower guy. We're a different thing altogether. Right? So nuance is, how do you do it? I was talking to a friend of mine named David Hamill, and I'm going to share his story on the free training this week too at warplan.com. It's free. You can go there. And he does yard signs, but he's a savage. Okay. Like people pass out yard signs and like, it doesn't really work. It's like, no, you don't work. You didn't do it. It's not, did you do it? It's how did you do it? So David, he split tested everything you can imagine with yard signs. I'll give you a bunch of examples. He doesn't print them the normal way where the corrugation in the plastic is vertical, because when you put them on telephone poles, the wind will break them and they flap like this. Have you ever seen a yard sign like that on a pole? It breaks over time, right? So he just prints them so the corrugation is horizontal so that doesn't happen. Now that's one tiny little thing, but it matters. He also puts them 10 feet up on a telephone pole, screws them in with a lag bolt at night with a ladder so that no one can get them down unless they use a box cutter. That's nuance number 2. He also doesn't put them at main intersections where all of his competitors will steal them. He puts them at minor intersections everywhere else. He doesn't just put them at the entrance of a neighborhood. He always goes in the neighborhood and finds vacant lots and hides them in weird places. He also goes to Starbucks drive-throughs at night and puts it underneath the drive-through window where the lady in the Mercedes is getting her latte, and she's 2 feet from his "I'll wash your house" sign next to her car. And sometimes they don't notice it's there for a week before they throw it away. Right? And my point, though, is that he's thought through all the nuance of like how to maximize the yield on this very simple thing. The time of year where he does it, the mapping of like the neighborhoods you're going to go and targeting where you already have traction, doing yard signs 3 days before your Facebook ad hits the same thing and before your direct mail ad hits the same thing. This is all example of nuance. It's thought, it's brain money. And hopefully that does a decent job of sort of explaining nuance, but this applies to everything: the way you look, the way you smell, the way your truck is, the scripts that you use, the order in which you say the parts of the script, all of it. And you don't have to be perfect at it, but God, I mean, your competitors are doing like nothing to even remotely try to do any of this. And when the recession starts to get worse, they're going to get swallowed. And then what I want for you is to buy their company and buy their assets for pennies on the dollars. I want you to be able to buy their phone numbers and their domain names and get all their traffic, because when things rebound, and it will, you're going to gobble all that up. Okay. And then the last thing is offers, the offer itself. Russell Brunson talks famously about offers with funnels, and most people are aware of click funnels and all that. But what about local businesses? Alex Hormozy got gigantically famous the last 2 years, and he's obsessed with offers. His book, $100 Million Offers, is amazing. But I just don't see a lot of service companies taking it like seriously enough. And, on the training, I'm going to break this down in more depth. But essentially, there's a whole bunch of buttons you can push, dials you can turn, things you can do to fundamentally, completely change how your offers feel. It's all about feeling and pre-framing and reframing and choreography, because what you ultimately want to happen, ideally, and it's never perfect, you want people to be pleasantly surprised that you're only $300 more than the other guy. Instead of being like company A is 500, company B is 550, and then your company is 850, and they're like, "What? This is outrageous." This choreography done correctly is going to make them scared of your price, thinking you're going to be double, and like, "Oh, the Mercedes-Benz of lawn care is only a little bit more than the other guys, but they're clearly different. Everything about it's premium." And you attract different types of customers this way. People talk about you more this way. And most importantly, you make more profit, which at the end of the day, that's the whole game. I'm telling you right now, a lot of the, "I have a 7-figure business" people are broke because they haven't priced properly. They didn't raise their prices high enough early. And so their business at scale, there's no wiggle room in it for them. They're making 70 to 100 grand a year doing $1 or $2 million. And it's embarrassing, because you can have 25, 30% net margins with these companies. You really can. And they're all a little different. Lawn care could be a little lower. Some have more capital expenses than others, but it can be way more than what it is right now if you understand this type of stuff. What are you thinking as I say all that? I talk for a long time. Sorry.
I'm visualizing everything you're saying, and I'm thinking about white glove premium service front to back, from the cleanliness of, the shirts, embroidery, the way you answer the phone, the website, everything matching with the marketing, to all the social medias, that before they even pick up the phone, when they go to Google and they see everything, and everything is seamless to where they feel like, yes, 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 I'm in the right place. Like each part of the experience, all the way to when you service them and then finish doing the property, and the whole follow-up and all the communication is a seamless, cohesive, connected, premium experience, to where they're like, for those type of customers who want to just write the check to solve a problem to somebody that they know that they can trust will do it great, and they don't have to worry. It makes me think about the E-Myth with Michael Gerber when he got his hair cut and the guy offered him a cup of coffee and did all these things. And he went back to the same barber shop after, and now the experience was different. He didn't offer him a cup of coffee. Something else happened. And then he went a third time and it was something different. And he didn't know why, but he didn't like the place, or his expectations went real low. So you're thinking all this out. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing, like if you don't have a lot of extra cash right now, don't get overwhelmed and stressed out by this, because you can do
Mhm.
everything that I'm talking about with like no budget, basically, because you work with what you have. You know, think of David and Goliath. Like, David didn't beat Goliath by trying to behave and act like Goliath. You don't have to do what Stanley Steamer does or what the big guy does. You can do your own thing. You can jump up and down in puddles instead of jumping up and down in the ocean. And if you don't have the fancy wrap trucks yet and all this stuff, it doesn't matter, because there's other things that you have the big companies don't have. Number one being speed. Okay. You have, if you don't have money, then you have time. I promise. Which means you can answer your phone in one ring, and you can get the estimate to them in 1 hour, and you can do the service before company two even calls them back. So we have competitive advantages at every level, right? The little guy has leverage over the big guys in certain ways, and the big guys have leverage over little guys in certain ways. And so don't pretend you're some corporate monolith. If you're like a single owner operator, like, own it, make that part of your value proposition, that, you know, the owner's on every job site and personally expecting it. That's fine. As you grow, we can walk that back and replace it with something else. But we all have like a thing that can create separation in the brain of our customer. There's things we can say, there's scripts we can use to anchor people to a higher price and then walk it back so they're pleasantly surprised you're only $100 more than the other place. And it's a game that takes repetition and volume, takes some courage to do it. I think, you know, there's a portion of the population that's just lazy. And so that's fine, but they're just not going to do anything. Some people only learn things like this as a form of entertainment. They watch every video you make and do nothing, or they do very little, or they move like a turtle because they're paralyzed by fear. And the reality is you can have what you want for real. It's really real. You can change your whole family tree with a business like this, but you got to do stuff. You know, there's two types of work, like Myron Golden always says. There's the work that you do on it and the work that it does on you. And even if you're like stressed out, like, I don't understand, how do I? That's okay. Start to chop the wood. Start to begin to try to understand, because there's going to come a point when you do. And as you're doing this work, you're changing and leveling up as a person, you know, and that's ultimately what needs to happen, because you need to build the character and capacity of a high achiever to actually be one. Otherwise, it'll all fall apart anyway. And this is why 80+% of lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years, because it's like a giant tree with no roots. You know, if you got little roots, you got little fruits. And I want you to have big fruits, which requires big roots. And in the roots that you get, I'll give you another Myron nugget here before we hop off, is there's two natures to a tree. Okay. You ready for your brain to break, Keith? This right here is a root system of a tree. Okay. We're just going to say this is the root system. Can you see that? And the thing is a lot of service company owners have been doing this a while. They're on the forums. They bought courses, even maybe they have a coach or something, or they watch YouTube. They're trying to educate themselves. What they're doing is they're establishing roots, which is like good. But there comes a time when you have to stop going deep and you have to actually go sell your stuff and be enthusiastic and make some noise and network and grow and lead and recruit and be a charismatic, attractive character for your business, where you put yourself out there. That's where money happens. This is all like intellectual, these roots things, and they're important. But we have to have the top part of the tree. And I see a lot of businesses that have these huge roots. These are smart people that have no money. And this is like one little leaf poking out. The way that Myron teaches this is he says there's two natures to a tree. There's the gravitropic nature to a tree, which is the cells in the roots of trees they're programmed to dig down and away from sunlight. They're programmed and hardwired and designed by God to go deep and to go into the dark. And going into the dark is super valuable. And even the bad setbacks we have and all these things they're gifts. I promise you, they're gifts. I've been bankrupt. I've had my cars repossessed. All of it. It's not a joke. I say it like funny. It wasn't funny when it happened. It wasn't funny when my electricity got shut off and they repoed my car, man. But it created great capacity in me. And over time, little by little, brick by brick, you change. But nothing's going to change financially for you until you understand the phototropic part of how this works. Phototropic is the part of the tree that's designed and programmed to go up to the light. It's reaching up. It's defying gravity. It's literally definitionally doing the stuff that scares you and the stuff that you're intimidated by. And this is the only way And it's a balance. It's the only way to get a big result, but we got to have both parts. We got to have the roots so we can get the fruits, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully that was valuable.
Bro. All right, so let's wrap this up. I see all your guys' comments coming in real quick. Warplan.com. When is the event?
It's Wednesday night, 8 to 10 Eastern time, and Thursday, same time. We'll probably go over. It'll probably be more than 2 hours each night, to be honest. We are going to have a limited time replay, but you can only get it if you register in the first place, or else we won't know where to send it. We're not just going to post it, I don't think, generally. And it'll be really live. It'll be here at the studio. I'm really nervous about it actually, because it's kind of a whole production. We got like different camera angles and the switcher, and like my wife is going to MC it. And like, I'm treating it like a big deal so that people pay attention, because I literally see a storm coming and I'm really freaked out for people that don't start leveling up their brain really fast. And there's going to be great, enormous opportunity for those that do. But a lot of people are going to get smacked by this, and it's going to be bad. So don't panic. If your phone's not ringing, there are solutions, there are answers. I'm going to give dozens of 10K ideas on this training, and you're going to be taking notes, putting like 10K, like this one sentence was a 10K idea. This one thing was a 10K idea. And I want you to just stack value from me to you. On day 2 of the event, I'm going to present an offer of a new thing that I've been building. I've been building a program and some cool stuff for 13 months. I spent $1.1 million on it, and I'm really excited. It's like giving birth to a child. I'm nervous because it's my art, and it's my effort to serve people. And maybe people say, that's stupid. I hate you, Josh. I doubt it. It's pretty freaking epic, but we're going to find out together on Thursday. But pure value, I will present an offer, and then more pure value. We're not going to harass you, I promise. And you just go to warplan.com to sign up.
So it's Monday night. This is Wednesday night. Mark your calendars. Go to warplan.com. Register totally for free. Put it on your calendar, and you're going to teach epic stuff. I know you did over the winter. You did some free stuff on Facebook, and it was insane.
Yeah,
like
I have a lot of stuff, and another thing I'm giving people when they register for the workshop is a giant document I made called 60 profit producing ideas. Not the greatest name in the world, fair enough, but it's 60 kind of it's like a pocket guide to making money. And these are really out of the box, weird things you can do. And I think all of them, or almost all of them, they cost nothing to do, and they'll make you money in days, right? It's like, do this like this at this point, boom, money. When you're pitching your thing, say it like this first, then this second, and then this, and make sure you do this, boom, money. And there's 60 of them broken into 4 different categories. And I'm going to give that away for free. It's insane. I could sell just this resource for a whole bunch of money. It's going to be this massive bribe to get people to show up. Share it with your friends. If people are hurting and suffering, they have young families, if they want to grow faster, if you want to legitimately become a millionaire. And by the way, $1 million today isn't what it used to be. And it's not like some magical thing, but it is a step one. Let's get you there first and then go from there. So I appreciate your time, Keith. Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks to you too, Josh. And thanks everybody here. Awesome. So excited to see you guys Wednesday night, warplan.com. I'll be there taking notes. Have a good evening, Josh. Later, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.